Hello fellas. Welcome back to Top 5 Choices. This is Haley from Top 5 Choices, and I hope you all are doing good. In today's video, I am going to do a detailed review and pick the top 5 best mirrorless cameras, 2022. After doing proper researches, we came to the conclusion that meets the best in terms of overall. Kindly leave a like if you find this helpful, and I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications if you haven't. We will be also providing affiliates link to purchase from Amazon. Kindly use it for best offers and purchase from anywhere in the world. We'll be back with more videos. Fujifilm's X-S10 is a 26MP interchangeable lens camera that shoots high-quality 4K video and comes with a deep grip and a different, though excellent, control scheme than most other Fujifilm cameras. The company describes the X-S10 as a cross between the company's X-T30 and the X-H1 cameras. You get the guts from the former and the design and in-body image stabilization feature, in a new miniaturized form, from the latter. The X-S10 camera is targeted toward both beginning and experienced users who may have Canon or Nikon DSLRs and want something a little more familiar than a typical Fujifilm camera. And, with a price of $999 for the body, $100 more than the X-T30, it's not necessarily out of reach for that audience. Being a smaller camera, it's no surprise that the X-T4's IBIS unit wasn't going to fit into the X-S10. So, the company designed a new one that is 30% smaller and lighter than the X-T4's. A new motion sensor makes the unit more efficient, and the X-S10 has a redesigned circuit board that reduces power consumption. There's a very small difference in stabilization performance on the X-S10 versus the X-T4, just half a stop. It offers 6 stops of shake reduction on all unstabilized Fujifilm lenses save for the X-F16 to 55mm f2.8, which weighs in at 5.5 stops. Most stabilized Fujifilm lenses vary from 5.5 to 6 stops, save for the X-F80mm macro, which offers 5 stops. These differences primarily have to do with how much coverage the lens offers outside the sensor area, not necessarily whether the lenses have their own stabilization. Those who stick to auto and scene modes will gain a few new features. The X-S10 now has an autofilm simulation mode which will select between Provia, Standard, Velvia, Vivid, and Astia, Soft, depending on the scene. Users can still manually select any of the film simulation modes offered. In our testing, the camera seemed to err on the side of selecting Provia, at least with portrait shooting. The Olympus OMD EM10 Mark IV is the entry-level model in the company's DSLR-style lineup of micro four thirds cameras. The pen models, such as the EPL10, are rangefinder style. It's a step up from the beginner-focused EPL series, offering more controls, better build quality and a broader feature set. It sports a 20MP 4/3 sensor, in-body image stabilization, flip-down touchscreen with a simple interface and 4K video capture. Olympus swapped out the tilting display on the EM10 III for one that flips down 180 degrees for taking selfies. Unfortunately, the downward tilting design means the display is either blocked by or potentially even fouled by both tripods and selfie sticks, so framing handheld is your only option. When the 3-inch, 1.04 million dot display is flipped down, the camera switches into a selfie mode, which puts virtual shutter release, movie capture and brightness, exposure comp buttons on the screen. There's also a button that turns on a 2-second self-timer that takes 3 photos in a row, and in auto mode, a new one-touchy portrait button that yields artificially smoothed, plasticky-looking skin. A useful addition is USB charging, something that has been missing from lower-end Olympus cameras for far too long. It takes hours to fully charge the battery, but being able to top up on the road is a must-have these days. We wish Olympus still included an external charger. Olympus has also added a new live view boost mode that can make both focusing and framing in low-light conditions much easier. The EM10 III's Live View Boost function merely boosted viewfinder gain, but on the EM10 IV it can optionally reduce the frame rate significantly, as well. This allows a significantly brighter viewfinder image, at the expense of some jerkiness. Under a plastic door on the bottom of the camera you'll find the EM10 IB's battery and memory card compartment. The memory card slot supports high-speed UHS-2 cards, a pleasant surprise for a camera in this price range, and you can tell by how quickly it clears its buffer. The OMD EM10 IV uses the venerable BLS-50 lithium-ion battery. The CIPA estimate for battery life is 360 shots per charge using the LCD. Numbers with the viewfinder are not published, which is above average. In most situations you'll be able to take more photos than advertised, though frequent Wi-Fi use may cause the opposite. The Nikon Z50 is the first-generation Z-mount DX mirrorless camera with an APS-C sensor. Announced on October 10, 2019, together with two compact DX lenses specifically designed for the camera, the Nikon Z50 packs many attractive features, putting it above entry-level DSLRs like Nikon D3500 and D5600. With its price point of $860 MSRP, it competes head-to-head with other mirrorless options on the market such as the Sony a6400, Fuji X-T30, and Canon EOS M6 Mark II. I had a chance to test the Nikon Z50 with the two DX lenses during the past 3 months of traveling in the US and the Middle East, so this review reflects extensive shooting experience in the field. Sporting a 20.9 MP DX sensor, fast phase detection autofocus system, 11 fps continuous shooting speed, ability to record high-quality 4K video at up to 30 fps without any crop, full HD slow motion at up to 120 fps, and a compact, lightweight construction with great body build and ergonomics, the Nikon Z50 is certainly a serious camera to consider for new and existing Nikon shooters. The two Z-mount DX lenses launched with the camera, the Nikon Z-DX 16-50mm VR and the Nikon Z-DX 50-250mm VR, are both attractive choices for those who want to keep their camera kit small and lightweight, but for those who want more lens options, there are plenty of excellent Z-mount full-frame lenses already available, as well as older Nikon F lenses, both DX and FX, using the FTZ adapter. While testing out the camera, I purposefully limited myself to only the two DX kit zoom lenses the camera came with, so that I can demonstrate their capabilities and see if they are sufficient for most day-to-day needs of photographers. Canon's EOS R5 is an excellent camera for professionals or anyone that's looking for a supremely capable option for almost any type of photography, from sports and action to studio portraits and landscapes. It's a 45MP full-frame mirrorless camera that can shoot clips of 8K video, has impressive dual-pixel autofocus and excellent ergonomics. It can also capture 10-bit HDR stills and video for HDR display and is the spiritual and mirrorless successor to Canon's 5D series DSLR cameras. It's not a perfect camera, but we think it's an excellent and highly competitive addition to an already crowded field of competent high-resolution full-frame mirrorless cameras. At 45MP, the EOS R5 is the highest resolution Canon camera we've seen for quite some time, and that puts it up squarely against some really capable competition. There are just bags of detail everywhere you look. The EOS R5 has an AA filter. It still shows plenty of noir here, but perhaps a hair less than the competitors in other spots. As ISO values climb, the EOS R5 really looks to hold its own up to ISO 12800. By ISO 25600, it starts to lose ground to the Nikon, but is just slightly better than the Panasonic. We'd probably not bother going much higher than that. Let's look at 8K first, and you can immediately see that. Well, it just looks like a high megapixel still image. Everywhere you look, there's just an absurd amount of detail. But 8K file sizes being what they are, what if you swapped over to the high-quality 4K setting, which takes the 8K footage you see here and downsamples it in camera for you? In this HQ 4K mode, the EOS R5 handily turns in the best-looking footage of its high megapixel cohort. This is because the 4K is taken from perfectly oversampled 8K footage, and so you basically get the maximum detail that 4K can convey. All the other options look either a little fuzzy or just pixelated next to the Canon. But HQ 4K isn't without its own issues. It still generates a lot of heat, since the camera is, after all, still effectively shooting 8K. So let's switch to the ordinary 4K mode, and the playing field immediately evens out. The footage is by no means uncompetitive, but it's no longer extraordinary. Thankfully, you don't pay a further quality penalty for high frame rate 4K/120p footage. We do have to say, though, that we're impressed by the Canon's full HD output. The Fujifilm X-T4 is the company's latest high-end photo and video APS-C mirrorless camera. It brings in body stabilization, faster shooting, improved autofocus and a larger battery to the already very capable X-T3. Fujifilm says that the X-T4 is a sister model to the X-T3, rather than a replacement, which is borne out by the specs and pricing. It's a 26MP camera capable of 20 frames per second shooting and 4K capture at up to 60p. In use, we found it offers distinct benefits over both the X-T3 and the older X-H1. The X-T4's image quality is essentially the same as that of the X-T3, with the exception of the new color chrome effect blue processing option, 2 extra film simulation modes, and a clarity processing parameter that applies large radius sharpening to give images more punch. The X-T4 features the same multi-shot HDR mode first introduced on the X Pro 3. This shoots, aligns and combines 3 images and tries to cancel out any movement that's occurred between them. To give itself leeway for alignment, the images are slightly cropped in and then upscaled back to 26MP, which results in a slight reduction in fine detail. The HDR mode has 5 settings, specified in the menus under Shooting Settings, Drive Setting, HDR mode. These are 200%, 400%, 800% and 800% plus, along with an auto setting that chooses from these options, based on how bright and contrasty the scene is.